What's going on, YouTube? This is Mad Dog TV. We coming back with another one. So it looks like Cleveland Browns quarterback Dillon Gabriel just spoke out about the competition battle between him and Shedeur Sanders. He also spoke about Shedeur Sanders having popularity, the entourage, and all that comes with it. We're going to talk about what he said in this video, so let's get to it.
Every other city I go, from Colorado to the Bayou I go. Y'all know the motto, get a info I know. My people know it's Mad Dog TV, let's go. To every other city I go, from Colorado to the Bayou I go. Y'all know the motto, get a info I know. My people know it's Mad Dog TV, let's go. Let's go.
So once again, as I said before, quarterback Dillon Gabriel just spoke out about the competition battle between him and Shedeur Sanders. You guys know the veterans shows up on this upcoming Monday, so they will have to compete with Joe Flacco, Kenny Pickett, as well as other quarterbacks that will be in-house. I'm thinking it's 4. So it's a 4 quarterback battle. I have the video clip of Dillon Gabriel speaking out about the quarterback battle between all the quarterbacks along with Shedeur Sanders. I'm going to play this video clip and let you guys hear it. Then I'm going to give you guys my thoughts after.
Presented by Vivid Seats. Purchase your official fan experience package today for the ultimate game day. Rookie quarterback Dillon Gabriel.
What did you think of your first day?
You're done.
Felt good. Honestly, I think this is definitely a place where I thrive, being able to get back in the building. And I think, within 6 months of the draft process, you're kind of teamless. And, a lot of time for you to build and grow individually. But this is where I thrive, being in a team environment. That's why you play the game of football,
On the front, when we talked to Kevin Stefanski and Andrew Barry, they said they spent so much time with you during the pre-draft process. Did you get a sense that they really liked you?
Yeah, I think it was mutual, and I think naturally you have conversations and you look at the game of football in a similar way. Naturally that just builds over time. So I spent a lot of time with them. Of course, super excited I'm here and blessed that I am, and felt like this is a spot for sure.
Dillon, that video with the bird calls, was that authentic? Was that all about?
Yeah, it's like that metaphor, a little birdie told me, so kind of played with that, but funny enough that got out, and yeah, it's there for everyone to see.
Tom, can you just address this whole notion of you're coming in here as the 3rd round pick, Shedeur's coming in as the 5th round pick, yet he brings a lot of the social media and the entourage and the hype and all the hoopla and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So what is your sort of mindset or approach to that whole notion of that?
Yeah, I mean, for me, life of simplicity is a life full of, focus. Life of, complexity comes with life of distractions, but for me, I'm focused. I'm simple. I know what I want to accomplish.
With that, though, what was your reaction when you found out they did draft Shedeur after they drafted you?
Yeah, I love it. I love it because of who it is. I think just for us both, you can learn from one another, but also it's not just us two in the room, at least for right now it is, but, going into the year, Kenny, Joe, and even Deshaun, just a bunch of guys who played a bunch of ball that we can all learn from one another.
I know it's early, but has there been anyone in this building that maybe you gravitated towards and you've already attached yourself to here?
Yeah, Ron and Corey in the equipment room, they've been a huge help. Definitely guys you interact with every single day, but not only them, I think just a bunch of the guys going through this process, grinding and learning from one another, but it's been a good one, and I think you see the urgency from everyone and knowing that this opportunity you want to maximize.
Dillon, how the notion of coming in here and being part of a 4-man quarterback competition this offseason?
Yep. It's not new to me. I've done it at, every stop, and I've done it, at every level. So thank goodness for that and great preparation in that, but also know that, my competition is yesterday. How can I be better than I was yesterday? So that's what I'm focused on, and continue to create an environment that you want to be a part of, and that's all you can do.
Dillon, how familiar were you and Shedeur with one another, like in college or anything?
I think from a distance, you definitely watch quarterbacks playing at a high level, and I think with anyone. You're pretty focused on your season and who you play against, but you know, of course, know of and have seen.
And then just with the Browns, you talked about the interest being mutual, you thought, throughout the pre-draft process. What about them did you enjoy getting to meet Kevin and everyone ahead of time?
Yeah, just like I said, the similar way of thinking about the game, you know, and offensively, schematically, the whole nine. I just appreciate that. And, you know, I think naturally when you, in any profession, if you connect with a person, it just happens, you know, and naturally it's our thing about football, but also as people, very easy people to, you know, learn from and be coached by.
When you talk about keeping it simple and sort of not getting distracted, how about just like you guys, every single thing that you do is going to be scrutinized, put out there on social media, put on Twitter. Even yesterday, people were like, oh, Dillon did better, Shedeur did better. So what about that? Do you plan to kind of ignore that, engage in it? What's your approach to that?
Yeah, I think the more questions I get asked like that, it just divides the team. And for me, I think, you know, we're in a room full of not just us, but Kenny, Joe, and Deshaun. And for us, you know, we know how important a healthy QB room is, but also, you know, a team that you want to be a part of, you know, and how do you create an environment every single day where everyone can be at their best? And that's just pushing one another, which talent naturally does, and you know, naturally it's healthy. You know, for us, where we all go do our thing and everyone wins.
Dillon, in the mechanics of your position, how important is it to spiral the ball?
Yeah, I think, you know, naturally with pace, touch, and accuracy, spin naturally helps that. Also, velocity has, you know, a little bit to do with it. But then just getting the ball from point A to point B in as efficient way as possible, spiral naturally helps out.
Dillon, what goes into your process? You know, you've transitioned into different offenses multiple times in college. What goes into your process of kind of expediting the process of picking up the new system you're going in?
Yeah, there's no way around it. Just through, you know, and you got to continue to learn. You know, of course, I've had my time in learning a bunch of new offenses and a bunch of different areas and connecting with different people, but for the most part, it's hard work, it's dedication. You know, everyone has their process, whether it's walkthroughs, you know, installs, being able to tie in film with that, but for the most part, there's no way around it. It's through.
How would you compare the playbook at Oregon versus what you walked into here in Cleveland?
You know, a lot of similarities. I think verbiage for everyone has been something that's new, and that's natural. You know, in college there is more tempo-based offenses, which, you know, naturally, to help yourself in tempo, you have to have shorter calls. Where, you know, in the NFL, a huddle is more a natural procedure, so naturally you can, you know, add more verbiage to that. But for me, did a mixture of both. Very blessed as well to do the Senior Bowl, which is great practice for this kind of stuff. But throughout the process, you tend to go through playbooks and have to rep it that day of. And like I said, 3 different spots, you learn how to create your own process for it.
Dillon, what about hearing your name called? Take us inside your draft party and what that moment was like for you?
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. You know, I think, you know, when you go back to that, it's a dream come true, but it's also the beginning of your dream. So excited for the work to come, and you know, this is where I wanted to be, but you know, the dreams and goals don't stop there.
What's been your interaction or reaction with Browns fans so far?
I mean, I haven't had enough yet. It's been my second day, but a bunch of love. Look at this weather. Isn't this beautiful? But no, I'm just playing. But yeah, it's been a blessing coming here and kind of getting the lay of the land, even though it's only my second day. So I'll have to answer that here in a couple weeks.
In your college career, how often were you under center? Would you say full percentage of it?
A good mixture. I think more so this past year. But naturally, if you play 6 years in college, you're going to get under center one way or another. And for me, you know, comfortability is just getting reps. And we're repping it a bunch here, but have done it in game, in practice, in college. So it'll naturally translate as well.
Yeah, I think you said before that you're used to competition at quarterback, but you also started a ton of games. So does this feel any different to you, walking into such a kind of wide open competition?
It doesn't. And like I said, with competition, how I approach it, I'm trying to beat yesterday. You know, myself yesterday. Just any chance I can be 1% better than that. That's how I look at it. And naturally, you play the quarterback position, only one guy can play. So there's naturally going to have competition at all levels, and that's why we're in this game. We love it, you know. And if you're a competitor, you love it and you run towards it. So that's what I do.
Could you clear it up? Were you told by the Browns we're taking you at 94?
I don't know. We'll leave that up to mystery.
Dillon, I know there was this clip going around from you in college talking about you like playing in nice weather or climate-controlled elements.
Well, I hear you there. I'll say this. This is what's tough about right now, right? Like, in this day and age, a clip is a clip, yet it was a fun interview full of a bunch of questions. So I'm glad you asked that question. But we decided to clip certain things that maybe could get more views than other, you know, clips within that video. I just challenge everyone to watch the full video, you know, and not just watch one clip.
Dillon, going through the draft process, the biggest criticism was your size. What do you have to say to those critics who think you might not be big enough to play?
I have nothing to say to the critics. You know, for me, everyone has an opinion and is right to have their own opinion and can speak and how they feel. But for me, like I said, I'm simple, I'm focused. I got goals I want to accomplish. I would not be here if I listened to other people. So for me, it's listen to the right people, coaches, getting better every single day, and controlling what you can is when you get in between those white lines, dominating the moment, maximizing the moment, being present.
You said, one last.
Yep.
You said the day you were drafted, we talked to you on the phone. You said there's never been not a starter. So is your mindset that you can't be the starter early?
I think it's so early. You know, for me, I said that in the sense that I only know one way to prepare. I only know one way to work, and that is as the starter. You know, I've played a bunch of ball and have a lot of experience, so I'm going to use that to my advantage. But for the most part, I can't say that right now. I got to continue to dominate the moment and have great practices. As you build upon that, you know, I still look forward to meeting my new teammates. You know, the vets on Monday. So I think that'll be a question down the road, but I think every day I approach is like I'm going to go get that rep, and you know, I live it like that.
Impressive kid. I like him. Lots.
You guys heard it right there. Well said by Dillon Gabriel in regards to his questions along with competing with Shedeur Sanders. As he stated, it's not just a quarterback battle between him and Shedeur Sanders. They have to compete with even the veterans, and they also have to appreciate the game of football. That's what matters the most, because when you answer questions similar to how do you compete with somebody like Shedeur Sanders that's very popular and the entourage and all these questions, it takes away from what really matters the most. Those guys are trying to make the roster. They don't care about going against each other. They want to win roster spots. They want to make the 53-man roster. They want to play. They aren't just trying to compete just between the two. They have to compete with the other quarterbacks as well. Dillon Gabriel answered those questions very, very well. Just want you guys to take a listen to hear what he had to say at the podium for the Cleveland Browns. I will have a link to their description and channel and all those things inside of my description. Actually, I will have the link to their channel in the description, so you guys can definitely check it out. Hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, turn on the post notification bell. That way, every time I upload a new video, you guys will see it. Until next time, peace.